Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam, and joining me tonight, Leon, and the return of Jas after a good debut a couple of weeks ago. Hope you guys are well. Not much boxing this weekend, mainly that card in the theatre of MSG in New York. Leon, I'll start with you because I think you only saw the headline. Kovalev versus Shaba, Mr. Loverman. Didn't get any love on Saturday night, did he?
No, none at all. I mean, I don't know what to make of it really. Like, is that a good win? I don't know. Like,
that was a confidence
B or
fight.
A C level guy.
That was a confidence fight, innit? Like, he's had two kind of toughish fights against Ward, so this one was just to get a knockout, get some confidence back. Cause
I just feel like that win is like a bit of the shine's been taken off it because that guy's been a bit kind of not exposed, but kind of found out at those higher levels. So it was a good win, and he did it well. So it was good to see that he still had the confidence to engage because Shabranskyy, he did hurt him, didn't he, in that first round?
He looked like
when they traded jabs, and he kind of staggered back a bit.
It seemed so. I don't know if he was just off balance, but yeah, that stiff jab definitely did something.
And he didn't, like, Shabranskyy kind of went for it a bit early on, didn't he, and got caught. Because I think he was probably feeling confidence off he's coming off 2 losses kind of thing, but it didn't play very well for him. Because he was badly hurt in that second round a couple of times, wasn't he, where his eyes started to roll into the back of his head. So Kovalev just did what he always does, I mean, he's on my, you're dead to me now list because you had one job and you failed, and, whatever we think of the first fight, he failed miserably in the second fight, so... I wouldn't mind if he'd lost last night and fucked off because, he fucked me over.
You're harsh, man. Like, don't you forgive people, bro?
It's not, I'm about losses, not wins, Cam.
That's a tough game.
I need people to lose. I need certain people to lose, and he had the perfect opportunity. I fucked it.
Yeah, Shabranskyy was hurt every time Kovalev
every time
landed anything clean, he was hurt. But I want to kind of give him props because, the WBO title was on the line, but when the fight originally got made, there was no title on the line. WBO afterwards said that it's going to be for their vacant title. So, he went in there. Not a lot of people want to go against Kovalev when there's no a belt on the line, and he went in there. Props to him, man. And like he said, he kind of gave it a go. He was trying to trade. He just couldn't handle what was coming back. So many guys go in there scared, fucking just don't do anything, get clubbed, and just like lay down. So at least he put in an effort.
And one thing I noticed that he hurt Shabranskyy on the inside a bit, didn't he? Like in the clinch and coming out the clinch with I think he caught him with a little overhand left kind of thing from the clinch. And maybe he has picked some stuff up from being in with Ward, so maybe that has improved him in that regard.
I think we're only going to know when he fights someone's better, though. That's the only issue.
Yeah. He's got to be willing to fight those guys. He's not got much time, What is he, 34? Yeah. He's not like he's living a life like Carl Froch, is it?
Yeah, I think he will
Froch
be as well.
Got to 38, 39, not a problem. I don't see him if he's like drinking in camp and shit. Like he can't have more than 18 months left,
Yeah, I think they will kind of be quick with him because Cafe Diva, as much as a poor businesswoman we think she is, she does kind of get on with most promoters. So I think unification should happen pretty soon. Maybe 2018 we'll get a few of them.
And where is Better Beast now? Is he with Top Rank now?
Well, that last card was a Golden Boy card, but I'm not really sure what his situation is.
I don't know who. Yeah. So that must mean they must be able to get him and Bivol's on. It seems to be an HBO fighter now, and the Nail fights on HBO, doesn't he? Or no, ESPN. He's Top Rank, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I don't think. Now, if he needs to go over to ESPN, he just needs to do it, Like I'm sure HBO aren't that... He's not that precious a thing anymore, is he?
Not anymore.
It's damaged goods, kind of.
Yeah. The shine, the luster has gone off a bit, but... Just, what did you think of the 2-round quick demolition job by Shabranskyy?
Man, I thought Kova looked great, but I'm a Kova fanboy, so... I thought his jab to the chest looked great. because if you notice against Ward, he would jab to the face, and Ward would slip under the jab and like tuck up into Kova's armpit. So it's good to see that variation on the jab. He threw combos, and like the final sequence, he broke with the left hook, right hand. I mean, the other dude's tactics were terrible. I mean, I know he didn't fight like Ismail Shalak, like run away and then
Run away and get
clubbed.
hit with a shot.
But dude, I don't know what he was doing. Like the blueprint's out. You got to take him rounds. Like after 6 rounds, Kova's power isn't the same. So I don't know what Shaba was doing.
You're right.
There wasn't many clinches. I think that's because Kova actually would move back. Like one time, like Kova would move back and like use his legs, which he should have done against Ward. Because Ward doesn't fight as good going forward. And I noticed like John David Jackson in the past has said like Kova's got a iron chin, even though he's got a glass body. He's got an iron chin, and like he fought like he yesterday. He fought like he had confidence in his chin. Going back to what you said about how many times is he going to fight, I think Kathy Duva said at the post presser he's going to fight like 4 times next year. And the other guys, I think Beterbiev, he's in a lawsuit, so he might be out for like a year with Jim. And hopefully the WBSS, they're going to announce which divisions they have for season 2. Hopefully they have the light heavyweights. That'd be sick.
Yeah, light heavyweights and featherweights, man. That'd be ideal.
Yeah.
But Neota jumped in the line. What's happening, Nicky?
Yo, what up?
We just talking about Kovalev's return. I tend to think it was just a bit of a showcase. You know, Leon and Jas kind of happy with the way he looked. What's your thoughts?
No, well, I mean, a little bit of both. You know, I thought he looked good. I thought he did well. You know, I was kind of worried about the fact that, you know, all the different things that had happened with him, like since the Ward fight. You know, I was thinking, who knows, maybe he's psychologically different. You know, maybe him freaking going on some kind of religious retreat like that. That didn't sound like, you know, the killer that Sergey Kovalev has been in the past and everything. So I was a little bit worried, and I got a little bit more worried just with regard to the fact that, you know, that first jab that Shabranskyy landed kind of rocked Kovalev back. I'm like, uh-oh, like what's going on here? But it was just a matter of, you know, Shabranskyy is so chinny that pretty much as soon as Kovalev was able to let his hands go, it all fell in place for him. And it was pretty much like a lot of the fights that he had, you know, a few years ago when he was kind of first on his you know, stampede towards being, you know, one of the top 2 or 3 guys at light heavyweight. So solid performance. You know, I thought he definitely still looked very dangerous. I think it's probably still going to take somebody very good to beat him. But you know, I think the division. I don't want to say that it's a lot better than it was before, because really, I mean, some of the same guys are still around that there were before. It's just that, you know, people like Beterbiev have more attention on them now because now they actually have a fucking belt. So, you know, there's still guys out there for him to be fighting, and hopefully those fights get made. You know, now that it's not all about, you know, I'm trying to save myself for the biggest payday against Ward or against Stevenson with, you know, all the shit that they've gone through in the past in the first place. So, solid performance from him, though.
Yep. You guys got anything more to add, I guess, you know, because it was only 2 rounds, we didn't see much. We can't really talk about it forever, so anything else?
Right. Yeah, yeah, you know, the stamina could still be an issue. You know, the chin could still be an issue even there too. You know, the body, his ability to take body shots and all that still too. So, yeah, we're not going to know until we know. We're not going to know until we see it, really, with him. Certain fighters are like that. You know, they look really great against guys that they're just clearly better than. But then it's like it becomes a whole different story. Like, you know, Lucas Matisse. I mean, he was looking like an absolute killer all the way up until he fought Garcia, and then at that point, it's like all of a sudden, boom, he hits his ceiling.
Yeah, I think the writing was on the wall with this fight because Shaba, his jab Like Barrera easily countered it in like their fight, and Kova's like speciality is the straight right over the jab.
Well, and even like he'll do like a 1-2-1 also. Like yeah, he landed it once there and there too. And yeah, Shabranskyy, the thing,
well.
his overall, like when he's throwing any of his punches, whether it's the right hand or the jab or anything really, he leaves himself wide open. His chin is hanging out there, to be caught. So Kovalev just took advantage of it.
Yo, Leon, what you drinking?
Sparkling water.
Yeah, we heard you. We heard you.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
Busted. Anything else? Should we move on?
At least he wasn't taking a piss.
Yeah, exactly. My favourite moment was I watched the HBO commentary and Max Kellerman was just about to go into some horrible suck fest about Ward, and then Kovalev just dropped him. I was like, oh, thank fuck for that.
Yeah, I
don't have to listen to that shit. He was just about to, but and it's get off that one. He's retired. Don't matter no more. Irrelevant.
Yeah, they paid off the judges and the referee just for him to retire.
That's another thing, Cam. If you're retired, you're dead to me.
Wow.
You're out.
You're just harsh, bro. Seriously.
You mean nothing anymore.
All right, let's go down the undercard. I know you didn't see the rest, Leon, so excuse me.
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, or don't go to the toilet. Just I'll start with you. Sullivan Barrera versus Felix Valera. Pretty fun fight overall.
Yeah, it was a good fight, especially early on. But then Valera started going into survival mode. Or maybe he was just conscious about his stamina, because he gave it a good go in the last round. I mean, this guy went 12 with Bivol, so it's quite a tough cookie. But Barrera, he loaded up way too much. And in spots early on, he was getting outboxed, like the first couple of rounds. So I think if Barrera fights Kovalev or Bivol, I think he gets knocked out for sure. Because whenever he gets hurt, he always fights back. Like he did it with Joe Smith. Like he went on the attack, and then he got dropped in the first round in this fight as well. And he went on the attack and dropped Valera in the same round. I thought the referee was a bit harsh on Valera, because Valera got low blowed and he didn't even stop the action.
Yeah, so, Barrera was doing that tactic. When anything illegal happens, he kind of turns away and like acknowledges it to the ref, so the ref has to do something. And I thought the ref, Michael Ortega, was terrible. Like when you set a precedent about taking a point in was it the second round or the third round he took a point? I think he gave him a warning in the second for a low blow, and then took a point in the third. And I'm like, it's too early, man. Like you need to either give him a final warning or a stern warning and say, next time I'm definitely taking a point. You can't take a point after one warning, I think.
Yeah, and then he took 2 points away, and I think the rules state like normally the next one is a DQ.
Yeah.
But instead of a DQ, he just gave another point. Like he probably heard like the commentators or something like during the fight, like ripping him. So I don't know. He was just all over the place, and that's an experienced ref.
Some refs do that though too. Some refs do that. They'll say like, "Oh, next one I'm gonna take. I'm gonna disqualify you." And then if it's like several rounds later and they haven't done it again, and then it happens again, sometimes they'll go back on that. And I think that's basically just he just made a judgment call right there.
Yeah, that's good though, because it's common sense. I don't think he deserved to get DQ'd. But one thing Barrera should have done, which he didn't, is go to the body more. Like, for sure. I mean, this guy looked like his stamina wasn't great.
Yeah.
And his age, just one last thing, his age is listed as 29. Dude, that guy's not 29.
He's 39, man.
he looks older than fucking Luis Ortiz, man. He looks like he could be his boss.
Seriously. But, yeah, it was
the two of them are going to go play polo together or some shit.
Yeah, it was a fun fight, man. That first round was exciting. It's almost like Barrera has to be dropped to kind of wake up. The shot that caught him, though, that left hook, it was nice. I think they were both on the inside. Barrera threw a right uppercut, which kind of missed. And then they both went to throw a left hook. But Valero just had the perfect form. He had his right hand up. He managed to catch Barrera's left hook, which landed first, and then landed his own, and just boom, he dropped him. He was a bit hurt, not too badly hurt, and then he came out on the attack, like Jas was saying. He kind of went after Valero, started throwing lots of punches, exchanging, and then managed to catch him with that kind of weird left hook that kind of caught Valero on the chin and lost his balance, and then he went down as well. So very exciting first round. Second round was good as well. Both started exchanging, and then Valero started doing a bit of showmanship, doing the bolo and like messing about and shit, and they were kind of exciting. He was a kind of like a light switch, like he was on and he was exciting, or there were rounds where he basically did not much. At periods he turned southpaw and he was having more success, I thought, as a southpaw, just with the jab and the straight lefts, and then he'd go back to orthodox and again not do much. But fun fight. Barrera won it clearly. Michael Ortega, the referee, was awful. I think it's just. I think the second point deduction, the punch kind of landed on his hip, but because Barrera kind of actioned him and like, oh yeah, it's low and all that, he just automatically assumed it was a low blow and took a point. Where sometimes you have to kind of just let the action carry on a bit, or see how the guys react. And Barrera was just using that technique too much, just kind of crying to the ref, man. You can't do that.
Yeah, he was, because there were several shots that were legit body shots that I thought hurt Barrera, and then Barrera would give that kind of grunt and look at the ref and everything, and that would kind of break up the action. He bought himself some time. It's kind of a veteran tactic, but still kind of screwed Valera a little bit out of maybe getting something going for a Hail Mary type of display, but. Yeah. Valera, I think it isn't necessarily confident in his stamina, and so that's a big part of the reason why he kind of started to hold back a little bit. I mean, if you look at his record, he has almost all knockouts in all his wins, so he hasn't really gotten very many rounds. He's knocked out a lot of guys in the first and second round of their fights. He's just one of those guys that a lot of the showboating that he does and dropping his hands and all that stuff is basically he's trying to get you to bite on the bait so that he can catch you with a big shot, put you down. And at first it looked like he was going to get another one of those against Barrera, but Barrera I think just has like in his muscle memory, like if somebody hurts you, you got to fight back in order to make them respect you, so that they don't jump on top of you. I think that's kind of his mentality when he gets into some trouble. And actually, somewhat disagree with Jazz a little bit with regards to Barrera just kind of getting washed by somebody like Bivol or Kovalev, because I think skill wise, like technique wise and everything, and also now that he has more experience than he did back when he fought Ward, I think that he actually can live in the flames with them a little bit. And it'll take probably a little longer than just one or a couple of shots for guys like them to finish the job against Barrera. I think at the very least he could be in a very even fight with either of those guys before eventually they managed to take a draw. I mean, even going back to the Ward fight, I think Ward got a little bit more credit than he deserved with regards to winning the fight, in terms of like people acted like it was like some like dominant, or like now in retrospect they act like it was like some dominant display from Ward, when he got lumped up a bit in that fight. He ate quite a few punches in the midst of that fight, in spite of winning the fight relatively clearly. But good performance from Barrera.
Yeah, but don't you think that his chin just can't hold up to the punches? And when he gets hurt, he goes on the offense, which is like a big no-no against Bivol, Betibiev, Kovacevic, or Kovalev.
I mean, it's a no-no, but it's also something that's got him out of trouble before, and I think it can still get him out of trouble to a degree, even against those guys. But it really depends. It really depends on the type of punches that they throw in the midst of him fully fleshing out his offense when he's hurt like that.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think his offense becomes better when he gets hurt.
Yeah, it kind of almost spurs him on to like concentrate a bit more.
Yeah.
But Leon,
right.
Just mentioned some names, Bivol and Kovalev. Barrera said afterwards in an interview that like they're the two names he's going after. In my opinion, I think he should avoid Kovalev because I think that'd be a bad night for him. But I think even though I'd favour Bivol, him versus Barrera, I think that would be a competitive fight. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the fight Bivol should want to take, to prove himself. Because if he wants to be the guy, you got to beat Pereira, haven't you?
Yeah. Well,
that's what people do.
He's mandated now, so.
Yeah, so he should take that fight 100%. Because I think Bivol can win that fight, But it's a good fight. It's a very good fight.
Definitely.
I don't know how their styles match up. It could be quite tactical, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the fight
unless
where really
Pereira gets hurt and goes for it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that might be the fight where we really see more of Bivol's skill set, as opposed to just boom, a big right hand, it's over. I think he'll have to pull out a couple of extra tricks in order to actually get Barrera where he wants him and then finish the job.
Yeah, pick him apart a bit and go to the body and stuff. I'm with Jez. I think he doesn't hold up really with the good guys.
All right.
Especially punching power. I think he can be hurt.
Yep. Anything else regarding this fight, guys?
But regarding the division, is that Jack Stevenson thing done?
Still not officially done yet, no.
Because that's the best thing, like Jack winning that and getting that off him would be quite handy, wouldn't it? Because I'm not saying everyone says he's ducked everything, Stevenson, and I think most of the time he's right. But I think there are fights there that have fallen down for him. But he's just that's a weird career he's had, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and it's not even just him, but like his promotional group too. It's just the fact that they kept him, Alvarez, and Beterbiev separate all this time. So, paying Alvarez off, step aside money, and all that shit, and then Beterbiev suing them now. So it's a whole big mess. Not entirely Stevenson's fault, but he's partially to blame, of course. With some of what happened with Kovalev and everything, but. Just a lot of BS that goes beyond him.
Because Stevenson's with Heyman, and Heyman can get him out. Could have got him out of that promotional deal and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Got him some fights. But that Jack fight should happen. That's got to happen, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, with that, I actually blame Jack and them a little bit more. I think they're trying to age Stevenson a little bit. Trying to delay it and keep him on the shelf a bit, and then try to take advantage of a little older, slightly rustier version of Stevenson and see what they can do.
Yep.
Yeah. Ellaby said that 2018 will be Mayweather Promotions' biggest year to date, so it probably happens. The rise of TMT.
It's crazy though, because if you ask me how many people are, on the roster of TMT, I'd probably name you about 5, and that's it. But
yeah.
Let's move on. Naota, I think, apart from you and me, the other two didn't see the Sosa Gamboa fight. So, you want to give us your thoughts on that?
It wasn't. I mean, I don't know how to. I'm of two minds of the fight because it was reasonably competitive. I was actually pretty interested in the fight throughout it, but it wasn't necessarily like a oh my god, like this is such a great fight. Look at all these exchanges.
It's a bit.
There were.
Bit of a forgettable fight.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few exchanges where it looked like, okay, like this might be turn into something really good, but they would usually kind of fall by the wayside due to either Gamboa initiating clinches or Sosa not throwing anymore. Like he would just stop throwing out of nowhere, and I don't know. It wasn't a great fight. To me, it was pretty much even at the end, so I really wasn't mad with Gamboa winning the fight, unlike most people. I think I think there's a few different reasons for why a lot of people thought that Sosa, I guess, clearly won and were so outraged about the fight. One of them being that one of the cards was really bad. Really, really wide for Gamboa that shouldn't have been. But there were a lot of moments where Gamboa, he could have even had more points taken away. So I know that probably angered a lot of people. They didn't. I wasn't exactly happy with it. But I mean, he only had 3 weeks notice for this fight, and even then, starting pretty slowly in the first round, once he got into a rhythm, there was a lot of spots where he outboxed Sosa and where Sosa almost looked like he had like taken the fight on short notice himself, because his stamina didn't look like it was like top notch. You know, like there would be long moments where he would just kind of follow Gamboa around and not really throw, not really try to cut off the ring, not really even put in like work to the body consistently in order to try and stop Gamboa's movement, and then to be able to kind of corner him and then set up the headshots and everything. So I mean, while I see why a lot of people thought Sosa won and had him up and everything, like between the two of them, he hurt Gamboa worse than Gamboa ever hurt him. There was just too many lulls in the action and too many lulls in the fight for Sosa's sake, for me to have scored it for him specifically. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great fight, and I think that if had Gamboa would have gotten more notice, he might have been able to. I think win a little bit more favor in the midst of the fight. But I mean, I could be wrong about that. But I thought that it was going to be a more close fight than I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people expected Sosa to just wash Gamboa because, there's a lot of box trick warriors out there that don't know who guys like Robinson Castellanos are. And so like they think that, Gamboa lost against some bum. And, Sosa's just, he's just a level below, an elite fighter. An elite level fighter, so he should be able to knock Gamboa silly. But it didn't happen because Sosa doesn't have the boxing skills of somebody like Castellanos. He doesn't have the ability to time and set you up with, that kind of straight 1-2 down the pipe. There was a couple of times where he caught Gamboa with it, but I don't think he recognized it enough in order to be able to try and set it up and time it more consistently. Because I think had he done that, he may have been able to get Gamboa out of there. But that was just his lack of skill, I think, overall that led to it. So
yeah, no, I agree with you about the kind of fight. It was forgettable. It's not a fight that you're going to rewatch anytime soon, but every round was close, like especially like that first round. It's almost like I hate giving 10-10s, and I didn't give it a 10-10, but it is one of those fights where like both guys probably did equal amount, so you can give them 10-10 each. But yeah, I just didn't. If overall, throughout the fight, I'd say both guys landed the same amount. If I'm just looking back and I think why people were outraged, it's probably because, 90% of the fight, Sosa was the aggressor. He was always taking those half steps forward. Gamboa was always taking those half steps back. When Gamboa would land a 3-4 punch combination, it looked a lot better. They were cleaner shots, they were flashier shots, but they were kind of few and far between. And I don't know. I don't like when a guy's breaking up the flow of the fight. He'd kind of land a 3 or throw the 3, maybe land 2 of them, and then just go for the clinch, just to break up the action. Ref breaks him, do the same thing again, breaks him, and it just ruins the flow for me personally. And he was very lucky to get 1 point deduction. He could have got one halfway through, and then maybe another one towards the end of the fight. There were like 2 incidents where people thought a punch landed to the body and he went over, which you could say fair enough, that was a knockdown, and it wasn't counted on the night, but you could say that was a knockdown. The other one was definitely a KD because he got hit with his shot, he was off balance, and his gloves touched down, so that's a knockdown. Your gloves touched the canvas, that's a knockdown. So with him getting a point deduction, and
funny enough, I don't even think he was as hurt. He was hurt as bad with that one. I think that was a little bit more balanced.
Yeah, it was definitely. But he got hit with a shot. But it was more balanced because his balance was off on that night. Like, did you see this?
Yeah, his balance was crazy.
What was that? There was a round where you loaded up on a right hand, totally missed, and just put himself on the floor. Do you remember that?
Gamboa almost reminds you of almost like how you see like ballet dancers where they're all the way up on their fucking tippy toes.
Yeah.
Like that's how his balance is. So it's almost like a stiff breeze will fucking knock his ass over.
Yeah. So I had Sosa winning because like even if it's a 5-5 type of round, then the two points that you have to take away from Gamboa, you got Sosa. So I thought it was a poor decision. I felt bad for Sosa, but it was just crazy, man. And Gamboa afterwards, you saying, "Yeah, man, I thought I won that comfortably, man." So that's that Cuban mentality for you. That's what they all say when they get in
Cuban boxing school.
Yeah, man, when they get a crazy decision. But yeah, I'm pretty much done on that fight. You want to add anything else, Naoto?
No, I mean, I guess I'm kind of wondering exactly where they're going to go from here. Because, I mean, with Gamboa, he still has a lot of name value, but he's also a big liability in terms of he could very well lose to a lot of different guys that they, if they don't match it up extremely carefully. So I just wonder exactly who and when Golden Boy is going to utilize his name value against. Will it be, kind of a big sellout fight against Lomachenko, presuming that he defeats Rigondeaux, that would carry on, I guess, that rivalry nicely. If he beats Rigondeaux and then he fights Gamboa, that would sell itself very easily. Will they do it against Burchelt, their own fighter who they co-promote, who I think would most assuredly knock him out? Or, I mean, he still has trouble making weight. Even though he was able to kind of get close to it on the 3 weeks notice, I'm still extremely skeptical as to whether he can make 130 and make it healthy, because he looked really dry in there against Sosa the first couple of rounds, and that's one of the signs to look for with a guy that's drained. So I also wonder if, who knows, maybe they'll just kind of toss him up at lightweight against somebody like Jorge Linares and let Linares get his name under his record, but. Just kind of a general curiosity. And then, Sosa's always going to be a fun fighter to watch. I'm sure, they'll get him in there against some kind of like French contender. He'll knock him out, and then he'll rally back towards some sort of title.
Yep. All right, let's move on quickly now let's talk about the Leviathan Maniathan, man.
Oh, I like that. I never heard that before. That's the...
Yeah. I made that shit up, bro.
That should be his name.
I need to hashtag that shit, because then I can date it on Twitter that I was the first one to say it.
That should be his alias, man.
I know.
When hang the Leviathan Maniathan. That's dope.
That's the shit.
Yeah, man. Had a really tough fight in Thailand. I mean, it's not surprising. Had we been able to preview it last week or whatever, I would have said that this is a really difficult fight for him, because Tatsu Fukuhara himself was the WBO champ at 105, and lost his title, somewhat controversially. It was a very close fight that he had with Ryu Yamanaka. And Fukuhara is a guy that goes to the body a lot, and I think ultimately that can kind of count against him, because there's a lot of judges that are very hesitant to really score body work so much as head work. And he does quite a bit of it. Like, most of his boxing ability is to the body, and he sets it up really nice. And he was giving Wenheng a lot of trouble to the body early, and also with the height and reach advantage that he had over Wenheng. Wenheng's a pretty short guy, and he was hanging in there tough with them, pretty much I'd say through the first 8 rounds. And the WBC's open scoring, I think, kind of took a little bit of the air out of the sails, though, a little wind out of the sails, because of the fact that it was showing that the judges were scoring clearly for Wenheng the entire time, which I didn't really like. To me, it was pretty much even all the way up through there. It wasn't until really the championship rounds where Wenheng was able to kind of really get a bead on him with that right hand, that straight right up the middle. He's almost like I've said it in the past, he's almost like a reverse version or like a mirror image of like a Manny Pacquiao, where it's like he's always looking to set up the big right hand as opposed to the big left hand, because he's an orthodox fighter. And once he was able to really get a beat on him with that, it was very hard for him to miss. A lot of good shots at mid-range and on the inside from Wenheng, and it was really just a great fight. I think Fukuhara definitely deserves another title shot, if not, a rematch with Wenheng. But Wenheng is 49-0, man. 49 have tried and 49 have failed. 49 have tried, and if anybody wants to argue with me about Wenheng being TB, 49 have tried, and that's all I have to say. 49 have tried, and 49 have failed.
Yep. Fun fight, Naota. Basically, just going to war in every round. The only thing that maybe detracted from the fight is neither guy could hurt each other, so you didn't really get anyone stumbling and hurt, and legs are gone and nothing like that. But overall, it was a really fun fight. Lots of exchanges. Fukuhara's southpaw, pretty tall, but you kind of prefer to kind of fight mid to close range. So there was a lot of head clashes, and I think Fukuhara got a small cut just above his left eye, but overall there were a lot of head clashes, and just that one cut, they both kind of got lucky, because Maniathan kept turning away, and I also thought the ref was a bit on Fukuhara's case, man. Like anything like that would happen, he'd kind of like put it on him.
Yeah. Yeah, Thailand is not the same as Japan when it comes to being an away from home fighter. In Thailand, if you're fighting a Thai fighter, there's going to be some resistance there. There's going to be some hometown resistance for sure.
Yeah, but I love watching those cards because Leon and Josh will understand this metaphor. But it's like fight night in the bake-off tent, basically. It's this big white tent, and there's not that many people in there, but every punch that like Wenhang lands or even doesn't land, they're like, hey, 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 and like
they go
Fukuhara land 3 punches and there's just like silence, and then he doesn't get the props for it. That's why the open scoring is bad as well, because it's like you can get disheartened midway through the fight when you've been like trying your ass off, and then you hear the scores and it's like, well, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, well, and that's the unfortunate thing for Fukuhara too, because he was actually doing really good work in there, and you could tell that he wasn't really dissuaded by the scorecards. He was still trying like hell to do whatever he could to, I guess, win by an accumulation stoppage and everything. And even his corner was like really egging him on. You could see them in the corner because the camera was facing them, face to face, where they were saying like, come on, keep pressuring him, keep throwing at him, because when he would have success, they wanted him to continue on with that success and be able to try to capitalize on Wenhang. But it just wasn't meant to be. Wenhang is one of those guys that I think in a few years, people will look back on him pretty nicely, because I do think that he is the best fighter at 105. In spite of the fact that he hasn't unified, as Jazz was kind of given a slightly critique for in the chat. Fukuhara himself was a champion just recently, and I would favor Wenhang to beat the other champions at the moment. The one guy I'd probably give the best shot against him would probably be Hiroto Kiyoguchi, because I think Kiyoguchi, his style, his ability and everything is it's fresh. He's a really good fighter and everything, and he's really good at kind of being able to kind of pressure you on the inside. He calls himself Chocolatito for a reason. He styled himself very much after Roman Gonzalez. And I think that he, like in the trenches, he'd be able to hang with Wenhang in a lot of those real extended exchanges. Him, and then there's one or two other guys at 105 that I think would be really good fights for him. I think Byron Rojas, who arguably could have defeated knockout CP Freshman, just the constant pressure that he puts on you. He's also the guy that beat Hecky Butler by the big upset. I think he'd be a really good fight. I think Saul Juarez is probably going to get another title shot at him at some point. And then who was the other guy? Jose Argumedo, the guy that Canelo promotes. I still think Argumedo, he could have theoretically defeated Kiyoguchi. It's just the scorecards really didn't go his way. It was a close fight. But I think his style and being a little bit wild and more like less orthodox and a little bit more chaotic in there could give him a good chance against Wenhang. But especially considering the fact that Wenhang is constantly fighting in Thailand, it's going to be really, really tough to dethrone him. It's going to be very, very tough to dethrone him there. On top of the fact that he's just a very good boxer. He's just very classically styled, and he does everything really well all around. And once he gets into that rhythm, where it's like he's kind of moving his shoulders side to side and everything. Yeah. And then you're kind of ducking under your punches, and then he'll throw that 1-2, and then sometimes he'll clinch you, sometimes not. Or sometimes he'll clinch you, and then he'll break his own clinch, and then clip you as he's breaking his own clinch. Yeah. He's just really, really good at what he does.
But, Neil, just going back to the person that stole Choco's name, man, you can't do that shit. You have to wait until dude retires until he steals his nickname. That's true, but there's a couple other guys that have done it already, too. His cousin for one, Jose Gonzalez. But I don't think it's so much stealing his name, but he's paying tribute to him. Like, even after Gonzalez lost, he tweeted Gonzalez. He said, like, hey, man, you're still my hero. You're still my idol or whatever. And Gonzalez, retweeted it, liked it, all that stuff. So he's a guy that he was a teenager back when Chocolatito was first on the rise, in Japan, winning his titles at 105 and 108 and everything. So it's like he's one of those guys that understands the gravity of what Roman Gonzalez did throughout his career. So for him, that's it's simply like paying tribute, like a fighter nowadays might try to call themselves like a pretty boy, like in deference to Floyd Mayweather or something. So. Yeah. See, Leon, that's the difference between a nice person and you. Like, he tweeted him afterwards and said, "You're still my hero." You'd probably tweet him and say, "You're dead to me." But, Neota, are we done on the Leviathan?
Yes, the waves roll on, man. He's a very active fighter. This was his either his fourth or his fifth fight of 2017. So shit, by the end of next year, this motherfucker might be 53-0.
Yeah, but to be fair, when he's not fighting for his title, he does fight like 6-rounders. So
yeah, although one of those 6-rounders was recently against a guy that fights at featherweight now. Funny enough.
Oh shit, man, that's crazy. All right.
Half a pound, baby.
Half a pound. Let's move on. Anyone watch the Manicha versus Alexander Ustinov fight? I hear crickets. All right, I'll quickly just run through it then. So, yeah, I was sad enough to watch it. You know, what can I do? My wife's gone away.
What's wrong with you?
My wife's gone away. I had the time. That's my excuse.
There's no excuse for that shit.
It was kind of fun though, Leon. Like, it was sloppy, but it was fun. Like, Char started off very negative, running around, basically just running. Yeah, as I said, just circling the ring, not doing much. Ustinov pretty high work rate initially, first 3-4 rounds, throwing lots of punches, but gloves and arms, wasn't really landing anything clean, but still having an effect because he's a big, heavy-handed dude. But he started to slow. Definitely must be the tactic of Chad, like ride the storm early. But Ustinov's technique is terrible, man. It's like he kind of paws with the straight right. Like, there's not much power behind it. He has zero jab. His left hand is low. Left hook is a kind of like a sweeping left hook rather than a sharp one. He just kind of goes off the fact that he's a big dude, man. Skills wise, he's awful. But yeah, he started to slow, and then Char, He used the jab pretty decent. You wouldn't think like the jab would work against such a big dude, but it did. The left hook was nice. I think it was the 7th round. Just looking at my notes, it was the 8th round where Char threw like a sweeping, unorthodox left hook. It landed on the cheek of Ustinov, dropped him, cut him at the same time. And yeah, after that, he was just kind of jumping on him, going after him. Like, he just really took over the fight at that stage, and yeah, props to him, man. I had it 116, 111, and yeah, he definitely turned the fight around, and it was pretty fun to watch, I thought. Undercard was pretty awful. Basically, he had really a few fights that ended quick, and the rest of it was just Barry Jones and Bunchy just talking about, the WBA's kind of reign over the years and people that have fought for the title and stuff like that. So yeah, it wasn't a good showing, and it wasn't even HD, Leon. Like, they didn't even get it in HD. They bought this. You have to record it on channel 437, man, not 490.
Oh,
so that's an L right there, to be honest.
Was Bunchy talking about more dead naked men in vans?
For a change, he wasn't. So that was kind of good.
He's a fucking melt, that one, isn't he? Like, that stuff that Twitter meltdown the last couple of weeks he's been having have been hilarious.
Yeah. I think he wanted to kind of boil over on the show, but then he restrained himself. So, all right, let's move on. Anyone catch the Devon Alexander fight from Tuesday or Wednesday last week?
Hell no.
I did.
Leota, like, just clear something up. I'm sure we had a conversation off air like a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this fight, and like, were you favouring Castillo in this fight?
No. I thought he would provide a good test for Alexander, and being that Alexander had been off for a while, I thought that he could theoretically be dangerous for him.
What did you think of the fight, though?
Well, I mean, Alexander looked really good. I mean, he looked like he hadn't missed a beat and really kept himself in pretty good shape, generally speaking. He definitely looked the part. I mean, when he was in there, he looked big as shit. Like he had taken up some weightlifting or some shit in the midst of everything. But I mean, great performance from him, really. I mean, he dropped Castillo, and then he kind of dominated down the stretch. And I think Castillo may have taken more damage than I had initially anticipated too. He didn't look as good as I actually expected him to do. I mean, he got stopped by Lipinets recently, so maybe that had something to do with it. But and because of the fact that Lipinets did manage to stop him, and I really don't think very highly of Lipinets. It kind of tempers the way that I think about how Alexander did. So even though I think Alexander did a good job of kind of handling Castillo, I think really there's really not much there for him at the top at welterweight. Now, the welterweight's definitely a different division than it was before his kind of hiatus and before he first kind of emerged at the weight division in the first place.
Yeah, because he moved up when it was a lot of 140 guys going up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's the kind of fighter now that my heart sinks a little bit every time I hear he's fighting. Like, I'm a bit like, oh, I don't think the sport needs him anymore.
So many people just dying for you, man. Just dead to you, man. What's going on?
Oh, come on, you're telling me he's fighting on a Tuesday night. Like, are we suggesting that he's, like, he might be in some good... There's a chance he might have... if he's reasonably well matched, he might have a decent fight, but it's not. He's not going to do anything. Let's be brutally honest.
Yeah, most likely no, to be honest. But
because that's what I mean. Like, now it's right. They're big guys at 147 now. They're all guys who could go to 154. Like, it's a different landscape for him now. Like, he's a small dude in that division.
Yeah, no.
Against the top guys.
No, that is true. But just going back to the fight, yeah. It was okay. He did look good. The pace of it was very slow, apart from the point that Naota pointed out where he dropped Castillo, and it was a nice combination. He threw a jab, straight left, and then a right 45 to steal a phrase from Timothy Bradley's kind of half uppercut, half hook, and then finished with a left hand and then dropped him. But it was just a nice change of pace because until that time nothing was going on, and he just quick hands, dropped the dude. I just wish he would have done that throughout the fight a bit more. There was just kind of really a one-pace kind of attitude from him toward in the majority of the fight. But yeah, it's a good win. Good 10 rounds under his belt. Commentary team, Ray Flores and Sergio Moro, just talking about his addiction to, I think he got addicted to some type of painkiller, and they were just kind of going on about it too much. And it's like, oh, he survived it and he's come back.
He's on that Rush Limbaugh shit.
Yeah, man, it's like, fuck, man. Like, the PBC...
Alexander's a junkie.
He was for for a while, man.
Awesome. I can get behind this now.
All right,
so
soon...
Anyone who's getting high and fighting, that's my kind of fighter.
But yeah, like,
no, on the same level.
You are right, O'Neill. The landscape for him is pretty. Sorry, Leon. The landscape for him over there is it's pretty sparse, to be honest. And he's not sometimes against the wrong opponent. He's not the best person to watch, really. Like,
he's very negative against people of similar skill, level of skill, isn't he?
Yeah.
And no one will ever.
Well, and guys that can really pressure him, he's really skittish against guys like that.
Yeah, with him, I kind of previewed it last week, and I said to him, the only way Castillo wins is if he kind of sits on his chest and really works him. Where Castillo doesn't really fight like that; he kind of fights on mid range, and Devin was just picking him off, double jab, left hand, and it was just easy work for Devin. And
let's be honest, boxing fans are brutal, and no one's ever forgiven him for the Bradley fight. You know what we're like. We see a horrendous quit, and that just tarnishes a guy for,
And that robbery against Matisse, man, because he lost that Matisse fight, man.
Oh, yeah, he did. But that weird quit, that's what you remember, isn't it? It's like the Zab Jubilee, remember the point over there, then the little dance, that's him for the rest of his life, isn't it? Over there! So then Alexander's the ghost, the soul through the cut guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. We had a card today, but obviously it was kind of just before we were going on air, so I'm not caught anything from it. It's in Russia. Edward Troyanovsky got I think it was a first round win over Carlos Manuel Portillo, and Amir Mansour and Sergey Kuzmin, I think, fought to a technical draw. I think he got a head clash or something early on, and then he got stopped in the third. So that's about it. You guys got any fights? You guys got any fights you want to talk about that happened over the weekend?
Yeah, there was one that happened. What was it? I think last Tuesday or Wednesday. The return of I'm Not Run Wrong. fought over in Suzhou, China.
Took it L as well.
Yeah, he fought against this guy Wenfeng Jie, and I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. It's kind of difficult, but anyway, Wenfeng.
Wait a minute. You think that's you're a guy that pronounces shit properly, man? What's going on, bro?
Chinese names I don't have as much experience with because there's not as many Chinese fighters. So
racist.
Some of their consonant sounds are kind of tricky. So like because they don't translate directly into English and shit. So it's like Z's will sound like C's and G's will sound like T's. It's like it's crazy. But anyway, it was a pretty good fight. Honestly, I think this guy Wenfeng kind of got some hometown cooking there with regard to how wide the scores were. To me, it was pretty much even. Like it could have gone either way. Early on, Wenfeng was giving him a lot of difficulty with the high volume. He's a very high volume guy. Just working. Constant working. Lots of combinations to the body, to the head. Isn't necessarily like a guy that has like amazing technique where it's like he's rolling his head while he's throwing his shots and rolling on the inside, rolling on the outside. But he's relatively kind of a basic style, but a high volume kind of a basic style that was giving Ahmad a lot of difficulty. And funny enough, Ahmad didn't even make weight for this fight either. Like it was supposed to be at 115 for the WBO Oriental super flyweight title, so basically like for a ranking for the WBO. And Ahmad wound up weighing in at 117. So he missed weight once again for the 20th time in however many years, and and it went in there and wound up taking an L. Although I think in the mid and the late rounds, he was having a lot of moments where he was outboxing Wenfeng, almost not unlike what he did to Zhou Shiming, where when Zhou wasn't really throwing, he was just trying to jab with. Ahmad was able to kind of pick him off one shot at a time. But when Wenfeng would kind of get his hands going again, he would score, and he would, I think, probably win the judges' favor with regard to the punches that he was landing. Because Ahmad's, he's not a big puncher or anything, and against the bigger guy in Wenfeng than some of the guys that he had fought in the past, guys like Zhou Shiming and Kazuto Yoka, who themselves were even a little bit small for being flyweights. It wasn't the same thing. He wasn't able to just kind of bully Wenfeng, and also being in China against a fighter from China, the referee wasn't letting him get away with any kind of body slamming and elbows and all kinds of DDTs and WWE moves and shit like that. Although he didn't resort to it quite as much as he has in the past either. But I mean, it was a pretty interesting kind of tactical fight, and it's another loss for Ahmad. But I mean, hopefully he doesn't let this dissuade him, because at the very least, I still think that he's a relatively interesting fighter to watch, even if he's going to be fighting at bantamweight from here on out. I just think that at some point he's going to get hurt real badly by one of the bigger punching bantamweights. I could just picture like him trying to body slam like Zanat Zakianov and then eating a flush left hook right afterwards, for his troubles. So probably won't end particularly well for him. And being his age now, what is he, 36 or 37 now? Yeah, he's 37. He's going to be 38 this coming month. So yeah, it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tough for him. But I mean, he started off as an elderly fighter in the first place, so it's not entirely surprising. But good win for Wenfeng. He got a name on his record, but I'm not really sold on him as like some top tier fighter. I'd imagine that he's the type of guy that somebody like why am I blanking on the man's name? The guy from Hong Kong that Bob Arum promotes. What the hell is his name?
Rex Cho.
Yeah, Rex Cho. That somebody like him could fight against and defeat. I think that Rex would beat him, and that would be a good name for him because of the fact that however many people in China already saw Wenfeng defeat Amnat, who was himself a big name. Match him against Rex, and Rex will probably be able to outbox him and be onwards and upwards as to whenever he manages to either get his title shot or whenever Naoya Inoue vacates his WBO belt, and then Rex is able to fight for the vacant version. Because I still like if Top Rank puts him in there with Naoya Inoue, they're either cashing out on him or they just don't want to be in the business in China anymore, which would be kind of a shame because I think business is picking up over there. I've seen a lot more cards over there happening more recently than there has been in the past.
I'm remembering super flyweights from China, and Naota's forgetting him. What's going on with the world, man?
Hey, it happens.
No, it does happen. All right. Any other fights, Leon, Just that you guys have seen that you want to talk about?
No, nothing.
All right, let's get into some news. Again, there's not really much that I've seen. Just quickly looking on BoxRec 9 right now, they've announced a HBO Boxing After Dark card in January, but I don't know, I'm kind of mixed about it because I've not really heard of the opponents. I'm just looking at them on BoxRec. And
who's fighting?
Matisse's fighting... Matisse's fighting a Thai guy called Tewa Kiram, and
Tirachai Kwatinninjim. That's his. That's like they won't announce him by Tira Kiram. That's his birth name, but they'll announce him by Tirachai Kwatinninjim.
You trying to make up for forgetting Rexo's name?
Yeah, of course, man.
Is he any good though?
He's 38-0, but like when you look through his record, like 2 fights ago, we fought a guy on his debut, so it's not really a good look.
But that happens over there, doesn't it?
Yeah, that happens over there in Thailand, though. Like, I mean, shit, Wenheng will probably fight a guy on his debut next year. But
for 50-0,
you don't hold that against fighters from over there.
Sorry, say that again, Liam.
But,
you don't hold it against fighters. It just seems to be something that's so commonplace that I don't ever let that bother me.
I don't know. I think it's a bad look, though. If you're a professional and like you find the guy in his debut, I think that looks bad.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those guys
look bad for
aren't...
lots of them, then, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. A lot of the guys but a lot of those guys technically aren't even making their debut. It's like they'll have like different names and they'll be like Muay Thai fighters, and it's weird. But in any case, I've seen some video of Kwatinninjim, and actually, I think it really depends on if he can take Matisse's punch. If he can, his style, I think, will give Matisse a lot of problems. Because, all you got to do is look at, like, imagine Turcek Kokijim against Orlando Salido. He brings a lot of that same style, a lot of that same pressure, a lot of that same physical strength. He's not like a one-punch knockout guy, but he's a heavy-handed guy, where it's like every time he hits his opponent, like his opponent looks like, they could really feel it. So it's really just a matter of, this is a big step up for him to be fighting Matisse. And with fighters from Thailand, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some of these guys, they shine at that next level, and then some of them, they sink. They sink completely and get completely trounced. So it could be one way or the other, but we won't know until we actually see him in the ring as to just how good he is and how to rate the win, whether he beats Matisse or whether Matisse beats him.
Yeah, so it's Kiran versus Matisse and Jorge Linares versus Masito Gesta, who is a Filipino southpaw. Neota, give us a lowdown on this guy.
Oh yeah, no, he's fought on in the U.S. a bunch of times. Hesta has. I'm trying to remember where I last saw him. I know he fought Carlos Molina.
Draw, yeah, just looking at the box, right? That's the only name I kind of recognize.
He fought against Miguel Vasquez too before. I know he fought back when Vasquez was the champion. But I mean, Hesta. I'm trying to think of like how to compare him. What was the name of the guy that Valdez just fought? He kind of reminds me of him. Like he's a really good fighter. He has a certain level of explosiveness to him, but he's not like a one punch guy. And he's not like he's not like this. He's not like a great fighter. He's not like a John Rio Casimiro where it's like as one shot he can light you up, or like a Joran Akas where it's like he's setting everything up really well and he's going in and out, moving really nicely around the ring, and then boom, he hits you with one big shot. He's a guy that's a bit more of like kind of a grinding volume type fighter. Which in the past has given Linares some trouble. But this isn't the guy to me that has enough of that along with the defense to be able to keep Linares from being able to just ratchet off those combos and be able to kind of do as he will against him. Hesta has been on a winning streak recently, which is good for him. But still, from what I've seen of him in the past, I think ultimately he's just a clear level or two below Linares. And while he may have a couple of interesting moments against him, if Linares, checks out to lunch for a couple of times, I think ultimately Linares on his P's and Q's defeats him pretty handily.
Leon Just, I just think it's a bit disappointing start to the year, really. Like, I prefer him. Like, the opponents might turn out to be decent, but I prefer him to fight some names that we actually know. Like, the whole Linares Mikey thing was a bit sour. I thought that was a fight that needed to happen, and like, I don't know who this dude is, man. Like, to me, it's a kind of waste of a fight. There's so many good lightweights out there. Why not match him with someone that we know, someone that we've seen before?
It's just a little stay busy card, isn't it? Like the beginning of year, just get them a fight, then hopefully they get some fights in the summer. So, I mean, you get this in January as well, don't you?
It's like a January sale.
Yeah, just a little warming you up for the year.
Yeah, what do you think, Joss?
It's a Golden Boy promoted card, right?
Yeah.
Because Matisse and Linares are both Golden Boy fighters. And then we got Kato against Ali, which is a terrible mismatch. That's Golden Boy. If Canelo doesn't fight Golovkin, then Golden Boy are really fucked up. But I just think, I haven't got a clue who they're fighting. But Matisse is at welterweight now, right?
Yeah, this fight is at welterweight.
Yeah, he looked good in his last fight. Like, he looked really good in the last fight. I forgot who he fought, but
he fought Emmanuel Taylor.
Yeah. He iced him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good in that fight, but that's all I got.
Okay, any other news you guys have seen throughout the week?
Yeah, I'm just looking at, Brooke is eyeing Charlo, Hurd, and Lara. I think
but then he'll fight Jojo Dan again at 154, so what's the point eyeing these people?
I know, yeah.
Maybe eyeing's not the right word. Maybe eyeing up is not the right word to use when talking about Brooke.
Yeah, I think he outboxes Hurd. And, I'm not sure. How do you think those other two fights would play out? Brooke against the 154 champions.
Hurd, I think he could beat Hurd. Like, Eddie could pay a big check to Hurd and he could come over and I could see Brooke beating him, but anyone else, I think, especially with like both eyes having issues now and he's got the quit in him, like anytime he's going to face any adversity now, he's just going to turn his back, so I can't trust Brooke. I don't trust him anyway.
He's got the quit in him.
Yeah, exactly.
Before Leon rips him, let me just defend Brooke. Man, the quitting thing, I mean, it was his trainer that stopped the first fight.
Yeah, but like
against Golovkin, and then the fight against Spence. I mean, he was on one knee. No, he was on one knee, and I think his trainer was like, confused. Like he would have gotten up, but he was confused. He got up a little bit too late.
What's all this loving with Brooke, man? I didn't know you were such a Brooke fan.
I'm not. I call it how it is.
Nah, man.
He got confused because that soul was slowly
okay. Brooke versus Golovkin.
Brooke
versus Golovkin. It was one of those situations where he wanted the Baldy to come and stop it, man. Like he was waiting for that towel to get thrown in.
Cam, his face quit on him. That's a quit is a quit.
Yeah. And the second time, man, like, come on, like, the pressure started getting to him. Errol started to come on strong, and he just wanted to get out of there. But like, Shams has made a good point. He wrote Brooke beats Hurd ? Really, and that's a good point, man, because Hurd is tough, man. He keeps walking forward, and like that pressure again might just make diamonds, man. It might just fucking fuck Brooke up. So yeah, I take that back. I think that's a tough fight for Brooke.
What I was going to say is I would never pick Brooke again against almost anyone. I just think, like, you're right. Hurd's a big, strong guy. I don't know. So we'd have to see. Yeah, he is. We have to see what he looks like. Like he'd have to fight. Like I think they should try and make that Liam Smith fight. Really.
Yeah, but after Golovkin, I think Spence. I mean, against Spence, I think he won a few rounds. He won at least He won at least 3 rounds against Spence.
I have no issue with what like. he was doing okay in that fight.
Yeah.
You know, but he just fell apart, didn't he? But Spencer's really, really good. But I just think, yeah, all those guys are good up there now. You know, it's for a guy moving up, that's tough.
They're gonna try and get him that WBO belt, man. Once
Yeah,
Cotto is
sure.
done with it, because he's not beating any of the other champs for the title.
Because
None of them.
Oh my
God. Hurd was losing that fight, but he found a way to win, didn't he? Like, he was getting out of box, and I just, you know, he seemed to.
Hurd is a guy
that
if you don't have a lot of power and can get his respect, he's just gonna keep coming at you. He's like the fucking Terminator. He's like on some Jason Voorhees shit. You know,
I've always rated Brook as a reasonably good puncher at 147, but I just don't know if that translates up.
Yeah, well, and I think he's fought bigger punchers than Brook, so I think Hurd would get to him eventually.
Yeah, that's a good point about the punching power, because Golovkin, I know Golovkin has like the best chin in the game, but Golovkin did say like I didn't feel his punches at all, and Brook hit him with some like clean uppercuts.
What was I going to say? I was going to say the Lara thing would be interesting, because if you could get him over here, you could just rob him, couldn't you? Just clean rob him.
That's what you want.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Like, if Hearn wants to do that, I'm up for that, man.
That's the only robbery you would co-sign.
I would co-sign that robbery. I'd go there with a Cuban flag and just set light to it on his
fucking all kinds
body.
Of gifs, all kinds of gifs on Twitter.
Oh, just him crying. Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Did you talk? I missed Bellew fight getting pulled was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you talk about it last week?
Yeah,
that was good though. That was quite funny. I quite enjoyed that.
What do you see next, though, Leon? Do you see them waiting around for Hay to repair and then pull out again, or just to move on?
What I see is Tony Bellew saying that all drug cheats should be banned for life, yet trying to call out Tyson Fury. So that man is proving himself to be just a fucking rent boy for Sky. Like, fuck him. He's the worst, is what I think.
Well, at least if him and Fury fight, then we can bring back that old soundbite of "and your gay lover Tony Bellew."
The plumber.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the classic one.
The plumber, you bloke plumber from Liverpool.
But it's funny. It's funny you say that, Leon, because you know, John Jones from UFC. Bellew's a big fan of him, and he's been popped a couple of times, man. So it's like Bellew picks and chooses the people he likes and the arguments he wants to back. So that's just Bellew for you.
He's mental. Like, he's mental. Some of the stuff he said on Twitter, he's crazy. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad he's not getting his payday. I hope he gets another cold of his kids. He's always moaning about that, isn't he? I got cold of my kids.
Yeah.
Weirdo.
Don't chill with your kids then. Simple.
Exactly.
Simple as that. Actually,
wash your kids.
I'm sure I got a Tony Bell.
It's as simple as that.
Any other news, guys?
Did I? I can't remember if it was signed before a couple of weeks ago or if we had a chance to mention it. Ryoichi Taguchi versus Milan Melindo for New Year's. Did we talk about that before?
You and me talked about it, and then I think it got signed like a couple of days later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, it got signed, sealed, and delivered. The Japanese cards haven't been letting us down on New Year's the last few years, and it's not going to do it this year either. A lot of title defenses. Looks like it's going to be about 6 or 7 coming this year, including that unification, which is great.
Anyways, fighting New Year's. I don't think they are anyway.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, no, they both are. Naoya and Takuma both are both fighting. Koki, I don't think is, but Naoya Inoue is going to be fighting against this Algerian dude from France, Yohan Boyao. So this guy's like a guy that normally fights a little bit higher in weight. It's kind of a shame because he's not a big name or anything. I've seen some footage of him. He's actually not too bad. He had a pretty good amateur background. He had beaten the brother of Brahim Aslam, who himself was a world champion, light flyweight, years back, and he retired really, really early under some weird circumstances. He had some issues with the Canal Plus over there or whatever, but not a great opponent. I'm sure it's pretty much just a showcase, and it's one of those things where now to get top tier opponents, they're going to have to be fighting on HBO as opposed to be fighting in Japan, because they're going to be demanding the higher purses. Both the HBO money and the Japanese money would both be bringing in concurrently, as opposed to just fighting in Japan. So whenever he's kind of yo-yoing or going back and forth, ping-ponging, I guess, back and forth between Japan and the United States, when he's fighting opponents in Japan, it'll probably be more so like showcase type fights, whereas in the U.S. is where he'll really be fighting like big name, high value fighters, your Estradas, your Suisakets, etc.
Nice. Any other news, guys?
Nyota, did you watch Anchorhouse last week?
Yeah, against Colin.
Yeah, and if so, how do you think he does against Inoue? Because I think he does really well. I think he would start off really well. But ultimately, I think Inoue would be just too much for him, just too skilled. I think Inoue is just a sharper fighter than Akaz is, and Akaz has a little bit more rawness to him than Inoue does. He doesn't have like all the timing and the technique completely down. Inoue hasn't really been tested, especially highly to the body, and Akaz is an absolute brutal fucking body puncher. So that might be somewhere where Akaz is able to do some good work, but ultimately I'd favor Inoue to probably stop Akaz later in the fight.
All right, let's move on. Ski Mask Joe has made a return to the podcast. Are you there, Joe?
No, he's too busy stealing stuff from his patients.
Oh, come on,
Joe.
Joe.
What's going on, man?
What up, Joe?
Yo, can you hear me good?
Yeah, you're a little bit low, but yeah, loud and clear. What's happening?
Hey, man. The talking about Inoue was giving me flashbacks to the StubHub Center with all those Japanese guys. Inoue, why? Inoue, why? What's going on, guys?
Bro, are you drunk already, man? It's only daytime.
He's definitely drinking. Definitely drinking.
Nah, I'm good, man. But what's up? How you guys doing, man?
Yeah,
you guys watch the fight this Saturday?
Yeah, man. What was your thoughts on it? Kovalev and Shabranskyy on the card. I know you had some points that you were making to me on social media.
Yeah, man. I honestly think it's too early to say that Kovalev is back. Like, we all knew that guy was there to be like a fucking punching bag, but we were expecting him to actually fight back and test Kovalev's will to see if he was like break or if he's ready to be back in the boxing game, you know what I mean? But obviously that wasn't the case. But it's kind of too early, but what's up with all those like two other belts that I don't even fucking know what the fuck they were?
I think they just got him with the cereal. Free gift.
I thought those were like some like Russian and like Ukraine belts or something. I was like, man, what the fuck is those belts? But out of all the belts, I only recognize one. So, anyways,
I think.
Yeah, man.
I was gonna say, I think like it might be like one of those North American. Sometimes they have those specialist belts. Probably one of them.
Yeah, man. But I didn't like really. Trust me, I like the way he finished them and everything, straight to the point. But like I said, I didn't get to see anything that would like really test him at this point. You know what I mean? To like really be like, okay.
Well, one of those belts was the WBO title, by the way.
Oh yeah, but he's talking about the other one. But I just looked it up, Joe. It's the vacant International Boxing Association light heavyweight title, revered by a lot of people.
Yeah. Damn, that was the one that Nico Hernandez was supposed to be fighting for until he got injured.
But, Joe, I agree with you, I said earlier on the show that I think that, this was what was expected of Kovalev, so I can't really rate him off just one performance.
Yeah, so you mean to tell me that other belt was vacant, so he's still a paper champ on the other fucking fake belt?
Well, it's vacant, but it was his old belt that Ward, gave up, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was a good fight, man. Don't get me wrong. I had to like whip out the Kovalev T-shirt that I had bought at the Vegas fight versus Andre Ward out the closet. You know what I mean? But had to kindly put that shit back because that shit was a pretty fast finish.
What did you think of the
But
Barrera-Valera fight? Did you catch that on the undercard?
oh yes, man, that one. It was a good fight at times because they were like digging, like both of them were just going at it recklessly. You know what I mean? I was really expecting more out of Barrera for this one, honestly. You know, especially with all the like, okay, because like, when I watch fights and when I get amped up for fights, I focus more on that whole fight week. You know what I mean? Usually that's when they like the people start interviewing them. Maybe the company that's gonna be promoting them like on the TV show, like on the TV network, like HBO, Showtime. They usually come up with like their own like question Q&A type of thing. So I was focused more on Sullivan Barrera this whole week, right? And how he was talking about like, oh, I'm ready to fight all the champions right now. Like, I'm ready to fight Bivol. I'm ready to fight Better Biev. Actually, Better Biev's been running away from me. I try to throw him like 2 offers. They keep getting pushed back. So I was expecting like, okay, fuck. So the whole thing about the whole angle on Sullivan Barrera was that, okay, you lost to Andre Ward. He was one of the greats. He retired just recently with all the fucking belts, right? And then they were like, what did you learn from that fight? And he's all like, well, I learned a lot of things. I learned patience. I learned this, and that. So this guy, he should be no problem for me. And then after this, I'm gonna be calling out all the top guys. Well, buddy, I don't think you should be doing that anytime fucking soon. Because after that fight, man, I was like, even Kovalev could sometimes get reckless sometimes in the ring. I remember there's been a couple fights that he gets just reckless. I think, what was it, he fought in Canada once. Muhammadi, right? Was it Muhammadi that like kind of put him down early?
No, Muhammadi never put him down, but I remember you talking about, I think was it Agnew or Capolero?
Agnew did.
Okay. Yeah, so I remember that Agnew kind of went at him, but like that fight, Kovalev was a little bit off, but he came in fucking reckless and put him away. Now, let's say if Sullivan Barrera does fight Kovalev, right? And they both go reckless. Well, either way, we all know that Sullivan is there to get caught when he's reckless, man. Because that guy, he puts down his arms or something like that. I don't know what it is, but this guy, I don't think he's ready for Kovalev just yet. Maybe give him like 2 more fights with like bigger names. I don't know what kind of names those are right now. Maybe that Alvarez guy. I think he fought John Pascal. Even John Pascal could be a good name for Barrera to get under his belt. You know. I mean, John Pascal's old. He's still durable. You know what I mean?
He's actually fighting. He's actually fighting pretty soon, Pascal. But we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But no, just to correct myself, it was Capolero. I remember it. I think Capolero hit him with a jab to the stomach, and it was like he kind of lost his footing and he went down. But maybe that was a telltale sign that he had glass to the body.
All that vodka, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, man. But I didn't really like that performance of what do you call it, Barrera, man. And I kind of like support that guy after I seen him fight Andre Ward, because I really haven't seen him before that fight. And like after that fight, I was like, man, Barrera brings something to the table to this weight division. You know what I mean? And now that like Andre Ward is gone, Kovalev is like pretty much at reset, and all the belts are scattered all over the fucking place. It's like anybody could fucking get it right now. Like AB, anybody can fucking get it right now. And
Joe, what fights would you like to see made very soon? 2018 light heavyweight. What would you like?
Man, if I could see, like right now, I think for Kovalev, I gave you a little list. I give you the top 3 list right now. But that top 3 list usually involves 1 or 2 person, right? So that I think Joe Smith versus or either Kovalev fights Joe Smith or that Alvarez guy, right? I think that's a pretty good fight. I mean, Joe Smith just coming off a loss. I think Alvarez, didn't he lose to Adonis or something like that?
Yeah, I think he'd be mandatory for a while. He just keeps taking step-asides. But again, he might have to do it if this Jack fight gets made. But it's just crazy, man. He's just been waiting so long.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good fight for Kovalev. Like the guy lost 2 fights. Okay, granted that this guy's been out for a while. Joe Smith fucking broke his jaw, but it's like it's okay because those guys are there to be beat, but they have like a little bit of that potential that could probably test Kovalev in the waters, you know. So then the second one would be either Sullivan Barrera or Badu Jack. Badu
Yeah.
Jack, it's like that little question mark, but we can't under like look over him because like he was a champion at the other weight class. And then not only that, but like I think was it like the last 2 fights that he came in from 168, they were like pretty good names. He fought was it James DeGale? He's gonna fight pretty soon. And then he fought somebody else. I just can't remember right now at the top of my head.
Butte.
Yeah, yeah, man. But I'm telling you. And then the last one, obviously, Adonis Stevenson. I don't know how possible that fight could be made. See, that fight is just like the Khan versus Brook, man. Like, we hear about it, we get amped up about it, but then we realize how long it's taken to, like, kind of see that fight even take place. Kind of turns you off a bit. You know, like, the Khan-Kell Brook, we've been calling for that fight for, I think, almost more than, like, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Now, I think the momentum has probably died on that bullshit.
Yeah.
And then Adonis Stevenson and Kovalev, it's like, we still would want to see it because now we know that Kovalev is at a state where it's like any defeat right now could fucking jeopardize every fucking plan that he has. So
Yeah.
it's like that you got to keep in mind, like, fuck, it's been that long that these motherfuckers haven't fought. And then you keep in mind that Adonis Stevenson haven't even fought nobody that's even like remotely that you even give a fuck that you want to watch.
Yeah, last few years just wasted his career. But Leon Neota, just a question to you. Joe mentioned his namesake Joe Smith, but I don't know. I think Joe Smith's a bit irrelevant at the moment. Reason being is I didn't know until the other day when I was reading that second time his jaw was broken when he fought Barrera. He had it broken earlier in his career as well, and he had to have it wired shut. So 2 breaks to your jaw, man. It's going to be difficult to continue your career, isn't it? What do you think, Leon?
I wouldn't do it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Kova would smash him to bits. But, I mean, I can see what Joe means. He could sell it. It's, you know, it works on HBO, doesn't it? He's been on there before. But I could see Joe Smith not fighting again, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. If I was him, I wouldn't want to take the risk, man, you know?
Hey, man, if it's wired shut, at least he's still a construction worker. He could whistle at the broads passing by, right?
Shit. And Joe, did you see the Sosa versus Gamboa fight?
Oh, fucking A, man. That fucking miserable fight, man. That shit, I was even confused, man, because, like, Gamboa looked good, and then Sosa looked good. And then there was shit that Gamboa did, like, what is it with him always getting fucking dropped, man? And every fucking fight that I've seen him recently, like, any little slight movement, he dips in, and it's like, he always blames it that he fucking slipped, but he actually gets clipped in the fucking chin. What is it about that shit, man? He, like, it's been, like, either the story of his career or just pretty much recently, man. And, like, I thought Sosa did okay. I mean, he didn't do enough for me, in my opinion, to win. But I can see why people would be pissed off and, like, will boo the shit out of it. You know what I mean? But Gamboa right now, he's at a stage in his career that, like, his name is the only thing that's relevant. But when you see him fight, you're like, why the fuck do I like this guy? But, like, when you hear that name and the nickname that he has, that Cyclone de Guantanamo, man, that shit gets you amped up. You're like, this motherfucker. Because you remember all those old YouTube highlights that you see, man. Little Mike Tyson, you know what I mean?
The Rogers Matagua knockout.
You know what I mean? And then you just be like, fuck, hell yeah, man, fuck yeah, let me watch this motherfucker. But then when you watch this guy, you crack yourself a little beer, and you just look at him and you're like, man, what fucking round is this, man? This is some bullshit. This feels like it's taking forever to finish. You know? But, man, in all honesty, Gamboa won barely. And that's very, like, super thin. I'm surprised that the judges kind of, like, scored it a little bit the way that they did. You know what I mean? But Sosa, I could see him still coming back maybe for 1 or 2 more fights. But, like, out of those 2 fights, he has to win all 2 or at least make one make it look, like, super edgy. And then the other one, a guaranteed win if he wants to keep that career being on TV, but not bad for a guy that really hasn't done shit in the amateurs, and pretty much like it's like your local dude in the gym. You know what I mean? Fuck it, everybody wants that shot to be on TV at least once, and he got it to be on that shit 3 times.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, man. The Super Series, bro. What's up with that? What was it? Eubanks and George Groves. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that on this show, but I'm kind of amped up for that.
Yeah, it's a good fight, Joe, but maybe we could save that for another day, bro.
Yeah, man. It's a good scrap. I'm trying to think of what's coming up. I think the Lomachenko Rigondeaux. Or is that too early too?
No, you can give
Let's
us
talk
your
about
thought.
Cotto. Let's shit on Cotto.
All right. Hey, man, you know what? I know the Saddam Ali fight is kind of some bullshit. We all wanted him to go like out on his shield or like at least battle tested. Who cares if he wins or lose? But come on, man. It's Cotto, man. At the end of the day, we all know this motherfucker's a diva. But if you were paying attention instead of watching that Floyd Mayweather-McGregor bullshit, you could have just saw him on the I would air quote this his real last fight versus Kamagai. I was there live and goddamn, from round 1 to round 12, all fucking crucial brutality toe-to-toe. I think that was his last fight. The Saddam Ali could possibly be that way too, but come on, man. This guy got knocked out by Jesse Vargas, man. You know what I mean? And like, didn't he get tested before that too? Like, I don't know, but the Saddam Ali fight really doesn't turn me on. But him versus Kamagai, I think that was his like official last fight, and I was glad to say that I seen that motherfucker fight at least once in my lifetime.
Just what do you think about Cotto ending his career against Saddam Ali?
Not a good fight, but it will be a highlight KO for sure. Ali is not that good. He doesn't control the distance well. He's going to go into survival mode once he feels the power.
That's the thing, though. That's why I don't think it'll be a KO. I think once he starts getting hurt, he'll just, like you said, survive. So I think it'll go the distance.
Yeah, but he's not like Lara. He's not going to be able to stay away.
That's true.
Ali. Like he'll definitely get caught. I can just see him getting trapped in the corner, and then just getting knocked out. Cotto left hook.
Yeah, left hook to the body to bring the arm down, and then left hook to the head.
Yeah.
Leon, I know you want to say some shit about my boy Cotto. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to shit on Cotto, really. A bit, maybe. But I was just wondering what everyone thinks his best win is, because I didn't really pay much close attention to Cotto's career over the years. It's in my lost years, I'd describe most of his career. My lost boxing years in the early 2000s, where I didn't really know what was going on. Just, yeah, I was somewhere else doing something else. I was still watching boxing, but I just didn't really take him in. So what's his best win?
It's difficult, man. When you go through it, there's like each fight has a little asterisk next to it. I personally probably say the Mosley fight.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Mosley fight, yeah. And he iced the fuck out of Malignaggi, so you can't forget that one.
Yeah, that's actually kind of an underrated win considering how he beat him. Mosley would probably be number one, probably be tops. Claudy is a good one too.
Yeah,
he beat the shit out of Paulie, didn't he? Paulie was fucked in that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you get tired of listening to him on TV, just watch those highlights.
Broke his face.
He looked like he'd been stung by a million bees, didn't he, by the end of that fight?
But you know what? Like, my personal favorite win of Cotto's though was against Ricardo Torres. That was a great fight.
Yeah,
that was his best. Fight. That was his best fight. And Torres was a total unknown at the time. That just goes to show, as I've said, somewhat recently, just because you never heard of a guy doesn't mean that they're not any good. Because Ricardo Torres almost put Cotto on his fucking back that night, and there was a ton of people that didn't know who the fuck he was.
You know which other fight was pretty good? Even though he lost, man, that Margarito fight, the first one.
Yeah, it was a great fight, but he lost it, so...
He got bad.
It can't be his best win.
Snatched.
Yeah, his
fuck
soul
Cotto.
definitely got snatched, but he got that shit back when he got the rematch. But then again, Margarito at that time wasn't in the right state of mind. I don't know, man. That was just some bullshit. But I did love the fucking face-to-face with Max Kellerman when Cotto whipped out the
And the
iPad.
Such a dick.
Oh, shit. The one fight that, man, I wish would have happened, man. This was on my fucking boxing wish list. At least Cotto versus Bradley, man. That would have been a fucking scrap.
Yeah, welterweight, that would have been a great fight.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
He could have fought Hatton at one point as well, couldn't he? Really? There was talks of it, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was right around the time where he wound up moving up, though.
Yeah.
Even him versus Floyd was a good fight, man. To be honest with you,
that was one of Floyd's tougher fights because technically speaking, he was able to really hang with Floyd and force Mayweather to do a lot of things that he didn't normally.
It was funny after that fight as well. Like so many people came out and said, "Oh, Floyd's finished. Like his feet, like he didn't have the movement." And like next fight, he looked great, man. It's just like it was crazy.
Yeah. It was just a matter of Cotto. You know, Cotto was a great pressure fighter in his early days, and so it's like he was able to utilize some of that along with some of the fancier stuff on the back foot as well to be able to just basically keep up with Floyd and force him to fight 3 minutes of every round.
Hey, you know what I was thinking just now? Like Cotto's been through a lot of fucking trainers, man. If you think about it, he's been with his father, obviously.
Uncle.
He's been with Emmanuel, his uncle or whatever. His Emmanuel Stewart, the great Emmanuel Stewart. He's been in the hands of Rigondeaux's trainer, Pedro Diaz, I think that's his name. And then now Freddie Roach. And if you really compare all the trainers, like which one at that particular time, I know it's different because, boxers age, they probably slow down in certain things, certain aspects. But like, to you guys, under which hands do you think like he looked the best? In my opinion, I think he looked kind of better with Emmanuel Stewart because I think Emmanuel Stewart kind of polished him a little bit, made him look what he is. Like he brought out that more like pressure and aggressiveness and technicality out of him. You know,
I think it's difficult to say because like if he changes and then he fights a guy where his style is good against, then was it the change of trainer or was it just the opponent? So it's very difficult to say.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think with Pedro Diaz, he did pretty good. Like he was under him with the Floyd fight, but I felt like he went more into like defense. He tried to fight more of like kind of like an amateur instead of like a pro a little bit.
Less of that bunny hopping.
Yeah, man. But Freddie Roach did a pretty good job, man, to be honest with you.
I don't know, he did, but like it was right at the end with the diva Cotto and like cherry picking, making Gil look like a fucking walking corpse, like
beating up cripples.
yeah, beating up
right
cripple Martinez.
Disgusting attack on the disabled.
Like bringing the middleweight title down to like 155 and all that bullshit, man. That was nonsense. Shit, man, your cat's hungry, Leon.
Yeah, he's fucking ravenous, man. He's been
Lions
screaming at the
only.
door for the last hour.
Lions only. Leon Neilton, what do you actually think about the fight itself? Cotto versus Ali.
Oh man, just Cotto being Cotto, man. Cotto being a fucking pussy like always. This is exactly what he is. Pretty much his entire career is built on. I never liked Cotto. It's a big part of the reason why. Even though I'll give him credit for the things that he did. He was a really good fighter. Man, like I remembered that Ricardo Torres fight too. Like I was going ape shit when that shit happened because like I wanted Torres to lay him down, to fucking sleep his ass. And it didn't really happen until, technically it didn't happen ever. I mean, even Margarito even Margarito was able to, he made him quit. He didn't just like ice him completely. But yeah, no, this fight is whack, yo. Like this, it's him kind of, like there's that famous poem, like, do not go off into that good night, this is him very quietly going. This is him very quietly going off into the good night, man, with an easy win over a guy that is outmatched against him in every way possible. There's nothing that Ali does better than Cotto. Nothing. At all.
Yeah.
Get knocked out.
He's got the better beard. You know that little thin beard that goes down your jaw and all that. Like Ali rocks that quite well, to be honest.
Yeah, man. But you know what? The fight that actually, I think I loved Cotto, man. I loved Cotto for a long time. But you know what? The fight that drew the line for me, and I was like, man, fuck this guy with his whole diva bullshit, was him versus Sergio Martinez, man.
Yeah.
When he laid down all these fucking rules and all this fucking shit, catch weight, drop
Miguel
drop
Cotto
down.
is the A side. The
Yeah,
A side.
man, and then that was some bullshit, man. And then like I was expecting, because like the whole hype up with the face to face with him and Mike Kellerman, fucking Sergio Martinez was cracking me up how he like was putting Cotto on blast, like all your fucking diva demands, all this bullshit. I remember. And,
Well, and in the what do you call it? The face off with Margarito too before the second fight, that was really good too. With when he pulls out the iPad.
Yeah, man.
Look at your hand wraps.
Yeah, that was some bullshit, man. I honestly thought that was some bullshit. And then when he knocked out my guy, because I remember everybody in every social media platform, everybody was shitting on Cotto. Like, man, Cotto about to get fucked up. Sergio Margarito, even with one peg leg, this motherfucker could fuck him up.
Peg leg.
And then this motherfucking lost, man. And he did it. You gotta give him props, but at the same time, it's something like you don't really give your head nod, because you're like, okay, this motherfucker had a fucked up leg. Fuck you, Cotto.
But remember how bad he was against Canelo?
Yeah,
That's all like. He was fucking awful against Canelo.
Negative.
People were trying to tell me he did well in that fight. He did fuck all in that fight.
Nah, Canelo, I think he showed mercy, man. He wouldn't show mercy to Triple G, but this was some mercy shit, man, because, like, I felt like Canelo could have knocked him out at any point in that fucking fight, but I think he had so much respect for him. There really wasn't a lot of shit talking in that fight. And Canelo was like, you know what, man, you one of my idols, you know what I mean? But
that is one thing I could be thankful. That is one thing I could be thankful to Cotto for, helping to further shatter the false image that of Canelo being this fucking all-time great fighter, which he's not. Because that fight is just more proof of it. So thank you for that, Cotto. Thank you.
They both lacked the will to engage in that fight. It was fucking awful.
Yeah, but it wasn't as wide as the scorecards had it, though, man. That was pretty bad.
I think I gave him 2 rounds, Cam. Honestly, I thought he was fucking useless that night.
You're just a hater, though, bro.
He didn't want to fight. He did not want to fight.
Yeah, especially.
I'll never forgive him for beating up, for knocking out an injured Martinez. Because imagine they fought when he was fully, a couple of years beforehand. He would have battered him. He would have fucking iced him.
Yeah, but Leon, it was Sergio's fault to go into the fight injured. So what are you blaming Cotto for?
Cam, don't ask me to have any real perspective on these things. Like, fuck him.
Especially at 12 a.m. Yeah, all right.
I'm not here to behave like an adult.
That is true. Just going down undercard nail to Ray Vargas is on it, but I don't know who he's fighting. Oscar Negrete, is he any good? 17-0.
He actually is. He's actually a really good prospect.
Oscar Negrete is good, man.
Yeah, really good fighter, but in over his head against Ray Vargas. I think Ray Vargas to me is I'd say he's right up there with Magdaleno. In terms of guys that I think would really be legit competitors against Guillermo Rigondeaux if he actually chose to fight somebody at his own weight class instead of crying endlessly about guys avoiding him and then moving up himself to fight somebody else that's avoiding other people that are in his own weight class. So Ray Vargas, I think, should be able to outbox Negrete, maybe even stop him late. Negrete, a lot of his fights have been at bantamweight. He's been a bit of a floater between bantamweight and super bantam, but I think he'd really be a little bit better attuned to bantamweight with his particular skill set and with the talent level that is there compared to Ray Vargas. I think Ray Vargas is actually a really good fighter, and I think he's just kind of barely coming into his own right now. Being a top level fighter.
Ray Vargas is the one that trains with Nacho Beristain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that fucking butt-tooth motherfucker, man. I don't know. But Oscar Negrete, he's pretty good, man. He's a club fighter, man. He's known out here in LA heavy, but I don't know. Ray Vargas was pretty good. He was in a Canelo pay-per-view undercard, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's been at least a couple of them, but yeah, no, he's a good fighter. He beat Ronnie Rios' ass last fight.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the fight I remember. Ronnie Rios. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because you were at that fight, weren't you? Because it was on the Koto Kamagai undercard.
Yeah, exactly. I was at that fight. So, yep. That motherfucker has no fucking shot, man. I was going for Ronnie Rios. I remember I was hyping him up. I was like, man, Ronnie Rios about to fuck this guy up. This Mexican guy don't know what's coming for him.
He was. You didn't see it. You were tailgating with Steve Kim and Rob Palmer, weren't you?
Nah, man, I was already fucked up before I got in there, man. I remember I was even hyping up my cousins and my friends. I was like, man, this Mexican cat don't know what's coming for him. This Mexican cat don't know what's coming for him. And the next thing you know, man, he got fucked up. And I remember there was some Mexican guys in front of me. They were like, what happened, man? I was like, I don't know, man. Yeah, man. Oscar Negrete, he's in over his head, man. I mean, he's pretty good, and he's like, if he's like hood famous a little bit, you know, but he's not gonna win.
All right. Anyone else got any final thoughts on the Koto card?
Nah, man.
Well, Leon and Jess, I want to get your opinion on Saturday. Channel 5 have got a card in Leicester. Anthony Yigit, who's the 140-pounder, that's the EBU champion, the one that was kind of picked out by our boy Josh Taylor that maybe he'd like to fight next. He's fighting Joe Hughes. Joe Hughes we've seen a few times. He fought Jack Cattrall, and he's also fought Tyrone Nurse. You know, made a kind of good account for himself in both fights. Lost to Cattrall quite wide, but you know, Cattrall earned his money that night. It wasn't an easy fight for him. And Tyrone Nurse, I thought Nurse beat him, but it was a split draw, I think, on the cards. But
yeah, I remember that fight.
So, like, what do you think the thinking behind this is? You know, it's the headline of the night, really. Do you think it's basically Cyclone and Channel 5 displaying to the world who Yigit is, and so they have Josh Taylor on commentary or punditry, and then basically build up their fight?
Possibly, but have I seen Yigit? I don't know anything about him. Like,
you may have.
Where would I have seen him?
I watched him today. I watched his last fight against Sandor Martin, the Spaniard. But apart from that, he has fought in the UK. He fought Lenny Dawes this year in February. But I don't think you would have seen him, to be honest. He's also fought DeMarcus Clory, but that was in Sweden.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it probably might be the first time I'll probably see him on Saturday, so I don't have much to add.
Yeah, most
Hey,
likely.
can I say something real quick?
About Yigit, go on, this should be good.
Yeah, man, I don't know who these guys are, but I'm going for the guy with the last name Nurse, though.
Of course you are.
That's great insight, Joe. Thank you. But
yeah,
I watched a bit of Yigit today, Leon. He's southpaw as well, and he almost has a similar style to Josh. He kind of like starts his attack on the outside, kind of throws a jab to get close and fight on the inside, but he's not really good fighting on the inside, man. His punches don't really land clean. He looks a bit ungainly when he's fighting on the inside, but it's weird, man. You think he'd kind of fight like mid to long, just use the straight punches. So I think that could be an upset. Like Joe Hughes, if he can get on your chest, he works away and all that. So I could see it like maybe Joe Hughes winning the fight to most people, and then I don't know, because the fight's in the UK as well, Leon. I don't know, will it be a kind of the refs on Hughes' side, the judges are Hughes' side, or will it be, well, you know, Yigit's the champion, so we'll favour what he's doing. So I could see like Hughes nicking a win, but I also could see like some really bad decisions on the card just because Yigit's the champion. So we shall see.
Where's he from, this Yigit? I've gone completely blank on him.
Swedish.
Yeah, no, I've nothing.
No problem. Just, have you got anything to say?
To be honest, no. Casual city.
Casuals, man. Casual land. far and as wide as they can see. But what else? Jermaine Smile, we've seen him on a Box Nation card. He fought Darren Williams twice. He's on the undercard also.
Is he fighting that guy from the Midlands?
He's fighting a guy called Lennox Clark, who is from the Midlands.
Yeah. That could be all right, that fight.
Yeah, Smile, he made a good account of himself in those two fights against Williams, who actually, I was reading the other day that he's retired. He's
Yeah.
He's kind of done with the sport and retired, so happy retirement.
I think he was meant to be fighting this guy who Smile's fighting, he was meant to be on the Frampton undercard, and all this stuff got fucked up, and that's why Williams just walked away from the sport. Yeah,
it's kind of sad because he was kind of doing well for himself, but if he's not happy with it, then why get punched in the face, man? Go off and do something else.
If you're not going to get paid properly, and he's been in good fights, and they've been they were some good fights, and he's not going to get paid properly, I completely understand.
Yeah, I agree. And my girl Chantal Cameron's on there fighting for a vacant IBO title against Vivian Obanufi. We've seen her before. She fought Katie Taylor, I think, in Taylor's. Might have been a second fight, but yeah, she's a hottie, man. I only remember her because on the weigh-in, man, she was looking nice on the scale. So I know Hamada had a thing for her as well, so I'm sure Hamada will be checking the weigh-in out. But yeah, apart from that, there's not much else to mention on that card. Pretty weakish card for Cyclone on Channel 5, but to be expected.
Hamada's not watching this card. He'd be watching second division Hungarian football somewhere.
Nah, bro, third division.
On about shit, man.
Third division, bro. Third division.
Yeah.
But Daniel Lim's cousin Jennifer Hans fighting on the weekend as well, defending her featherweight IBF strap. What else have we got? Ramon Alvarez fighting on Saturday also in Mexico against Johnny Navarrete. And there's a card in Kansas where Neota's boy Nico Hernandez is fighting Joseph.
No, he's not.
Oh, is that not happening
anymore? He got injured. They pulled out of it today because he got hurt. So they got to reschedule it probably for February.
All right, so that stopped that in its tracks. So,
but
any other fights you guys want to mention?
He was going to be fighting for the IBA, the distinguished IBA world title.
Oh shit! What a G.
So,
but we've seen that Ajtai a few times in the UK. Neota, he's fought Carl Yafai, he fought Zhu Shiming and stank it out. It was funny, man. He fought Zhu. Zhu couldn't cut off the ring. They went 10 rounds with him, and his next fight, Carl Yafai stopped him in one. I think Andrew Selby.
It's crazy too because he's a pretty young guy. He's only 21 or 22 or some shit. He started fighting when he was a teenager. I don't know, something about that seems kind of fishy. I get the feeling that he was kidnapped by some mafia somewhere or some shit, and then he was forced to fight to eat or some shit.
And take dives and shit, so they can bet on him.
Yeah, exactly. Because if any of you guys have ever seen him fight, he just runs around the ring. That's literally what he does.
No, I've seen him a few times. The first time I saw him was against Andrew Selby. It was Selby's second fight, and he stopped him in the second. Then the next time I seen him was against Zhu Shiming in, I think that was in America, that fight. Yeah, it was one of Zhu's fight in New York.
He's actually pretty quick. He looks like he might actually have some skills if he was trained properly. But
if he actually stood still and fought instead of ran.
Exactly, yeah, but there's something really, really fishy going on there.
Last time,
I think Interpol or somebody should try to investigate that whole situation there because it's very strange.
Yeah, seriously. Last time out, he fought in Manchester against Gavin McDonald. Got stopped in the first. That's about it. You guys got any fights you want to talk about?
No, man, I've got to go. This cat's screaming at me.
Well, what does a cat want at this time?
I don't know, it's fucking really annoying.
Shit.
Bruce's not here to look after the fucker.
Oh, right,
Kittens only, bro.
Kittens only. Yo, Joe, been a pleasure to have you back on the show, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Cam, for letting me come on the show.
You're welcome.
And I hope everybody keeps downloading this show, man. I hope it just explodes.
Thank you, Joe. Jas, a pleasure again to have you here for the second time as well. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Neota, pleasure as always. Leon also.
Sure.
Thank you to people in the chat. Thank you to all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next week. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically bun you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weighed for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.